Hey everyone, before we start this super exciting story, I've got a fun question for you. Have you ever met someone who thought they were the boss of everything? Maybe a kid at school or a grown-up in your neighborhood? Drop a comment below and tell me about it. Oh, and let me know where you're watching from today. If you love stories where the underdog wins, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what happens next. It was a bright, sunny day in Maple Grove, a quiet little neighborhood where all the houses looked neat and pretty. The lawns were green, the flowers were blooming, and most people smiled and waved at each other. Lisa Carter had just moved into her new home, and she was so happy. Her house was cute, with a big front porch where she could sit and sip lemonade or read a book. She imagined having barbecues with neighbors or chatting with them while kids played in the yard. Lisa thought, this is going to be perfect. Lisa was new in town, and she didn't know many people yet. She was a friendly person with a big smile, always ready to say hi or help someone out. She had short brown hair, wore comfy jeans, and loved decorating her house to make it her own. When she moved in, she spent days unpacking boxes, hanging pictures on the walls, and making her porch look extra special. She wanted her new home to feel warm and welcoming, like a big hug. But there was one person in Maple Grove who wasn't so welcoming. Her name was Karen Thompson, and she was the president of the Homeowners Association, or HOA for short. The HOA was a group that made rules for the neighborhood, like what color your house could be or how tall your grass could grow. Karen acted like she was the queen of Maple Grove. She walked around with her nose in the air, telling everyone what to do. If someone's mailbox was a little crooked or their flowers were too bright, Karen would show up and complain. Most neighbors were scared of her because she could give them fines or make their lives hard. Lisa didn't know about Karen yet. She was too busy settling into her new house. One afternoon, she decided to make her porch look extra pretty. She climbed a ladder and started hanging fairy lights, those tiny, twinkly lights that make everything look magical. She pictured sitting on her porch at night, the lights glowing, maybe sharing cookies with new friends. She was humming a happy tune, feeling proud of her work, when suddenly she heard loud footsteps. It was Karen. She marched across Lisa's lawn, holding a clipboard like it was a sword. Her face was red and her eyes were narrow. "What are you doing?" Karen shouted, pointing at the fairy lights. "Those lights are against HOA rules. You can't have them up there." Lisa froze, surprised. She wasn't used to people yelling at her. She climbed down from the ladder, wiped her hands on her jeans, and said, "Oh, I didn't know. I'm new here. I'll check the rules." Karen didn't like that answer. She wanted Lisa to be scared, to say sorry and take the lights down right away. But Lisa stayed calm, her voice soft but steady. Karen squinted at her like she was trying to figure out if Lisa was trouble. Then she smirked, a mean little smile, and said, "You better take them down by tomorrow or you're getting a fine. I run this neighborhood and I don't let new people break my rules." She turned and stomped away, her clipboard swinging. Lisa watched Karen go, her heart beating a little faster. She wasn't mad, but she was curious. Why was Karen so mean? Why did she think she could boss everyone around? Lisa went inside and found the HOA rulebook, a big packet of papers that came with her house. She sat at her kitchen table and started reading. The rules were long and boring, but Lisa was patient. She wanted to understand what was going on. Here's the thing about Lisa. She wasn't just some new person who didn't know anything. Karen thought Lisa was an easy target, someone she could push around because she was quiet and polite. But Karen was wrong. Lisa had a secret, something nobody in Maple Grove knew about yet. She wasn't loud or showy, but she was smart and strong in her own way. And she had something special, something that would make Karen wish she'd never messed with her. What was Lisa's secret? Well, let's just say she was ready for people like Karen. She dealt with bullies before and she knew how to handle them, but she didn't want to fight or yell. Lisa had a plan and it was going to be a big surprise. Karen thought she was in charge, but she was about to learn that Lisa wasn't someone to mess with. The next day, Karen came back to check if Lisa had taken down the fairy lights. She stood on the sidewalk, hands on her hips, staring at the porch. The lights were still up, twinkling in the morning sun. Karen's face turned even redder. "I told you," she yelled loud enough for neighbors to hear. "You're in big trouble now." Some people peeked out their windows, wondering what was happening. They saw Karen shouting and Lisa standing on her porch, calm as ever. Lisa didn't argue. She just said, "I read the rules, Karen, I'll take care of it." Her voice was kind, but there was something in her eyes, a spark that Karen didn't notice. Karen huffed, thinking she'd won. She wrote something on her clipboard and stormed off, muttering about how Lisa was going to regret moving to Maple Grove. Neighbors whispered to each other, thinking Lisa was just a new girl who didn't know better. They felt bad for her, but they were too scared of Karen to say anything. But Lisa wasn't scared. She wasn't sad or worried either. She went back inside, closed the door, and smiled to herself. Karen thought she was weak, but Lisa was already one step ahead. She had something Karen didn't know about, something that would change everything. It wasn't just the fairy lights or the HOA rules. It was bigger than that, and it was going to make Karen's jaw drop. In Maple Grove, things were about to get interesting. Karen thought she ruled the neighborhood, but Lisa was different. She didn't need to shout or act tough to show her strength. She was quiet, but she was watching, listening, and planning. Every time Karen tried to boss her around, Lisa learned more. And every step Karen took was bringing her closer to a big mistake. So, what do you think Lisa's secret is? Is she a lawyer who knows all about rules? Does she have a friend who can help her? Or is it something totally unexpected? Drop your guesses in the comments. And if you're wondering how Lisa's going to turn the tables on Karen, stick around because this story is just getting started. Lisa's new neighbors didn't know her well yet, but they were starting to notice her. She was always polite, always smiling, even when Karen was mean. Some people thought she was too nice, that she'd give up and do whatever Karen wanted. But others saw something different in Lisa, a quiet kind of confidence, like she knew something they didn't. They didn't know what it was, but they could feel it. Karen, though, didn't see it at all. She was too busy feeling powerful, thinking she could scare Lisa into following her rules. She'd been the HOA president for years, and nobody had ever stood up to her. She was used to getting her way, whether it was telling people to repaint their houses or fining them for leaving toys in their yards. To Karen, Lisa was just another new person who needed to learn her place. But Lisa wasn't like the others. She didn't care about Karen's clipboard or her loud voice. She wasn't here to make trouble, but she wasn't going to let Karen push her around either. She had moved to Maple Grove for a fresh start, and she was going to make her home her own, no matter what Karen thought. The fairy lights were just the beginning. Karen's bullying was waking something up in Lisa, something strong and clever. As the sun set that evening, Lisa sat on her porch looking at the fairy lights. They glowed softly, making her house feel like home. She sipped her lemonade and thought about Karen's mean words. Most people would feel upset or scared, but Lisa felt something else: determination. She wasn't going to let Karen ruin her new start. She had a plan, and it was going to be epic. The neighborhood was quiet, but there was a buzz in the air. Something big was coming, even if nobody knew it yet. Lisa was the new girl, the one Karen thought she could control. But Karen was about to find out that Lisa was no ordinary neighbor. She was someone who knew how to fight back, not with yelling or fighting, but with smarts and patience. So what's your guess? What's Lisa's secret weapon? Is it something she knows, something she has, or something she's planning? Let me know in the comments and tell me if you've ever had to deal with someone like Karen. If you're excited to see what happens next, give this video an asterisk, like asterisk, and subscribe for more awesome stories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Karen wasn't done with Lisa after the fairy lights. Oh no, that was just the start. She was like a storm that kept coming back, louder and meaner each time. Every single day, Karen found something new to pick on. Lisa's flower pots filled with bright red and yellow flowers. Too colorful, Karen snapped, pointing at them like they were a crime. Lisa's mailbox, a simple blue one. Wrong shape, Karen said, shaking her head. Even Lisa's curtains, which were a soft yellow, were a problem. Too bright for our neighborhood. Karen yelled, scribbling on her clipboard like she was writing a ticket. Karen loved her clipboard. She carried it everywhere, using it to make herself look important. She'd march across Lisa's lawn, her shoes stomping the grass, and wave that clipboard around. "You're breaking HOA rules," she'd say, her voice sharp. "If you don't fix this, you'll get a fine." The HOA was the group that made rules for Maple Grove, like how houses should look or what you could put in your yard. Karen was the boss of the HOA, and she acted like she owned every house on the street. Neighbors knew Karen was trouble. They whispered to each other when she wasn't around. "She's been bossing us for years," one said. "If you argue with her, she makes your life hard," another added. Karen had a way of scaring people. She'd find them for little things, like leaving a bike in the driveway or planting the wrong kind of tree. Nobody liked her, but they were too afraid to say anything. Karen loved that power. She thought she could do whatever she wanted, and nobody would stop her. Lisa, though, was different. Karen's yelling didn't make her cry or run away. When Karen came over with her complaints, Lisa just listened. She stood on her porch, her hands in her pockets, and nodded. Okay, I'll look at the rules, she'd say, her voice calm. Karen didn't like that. She wanted Lisa to be scared, to beg for forgiveness. But Lisa never did. She stayed cool, like a superhero who knows they're stronger than the bad guy. One day, Karen got really mean. She marched right up to Lisa's porch where Lisa was watering her flowers. A few neighbors were outside, watching from their yards. Karen pointed at Lisa and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "You don't belong here. This neighborhood is for people who follow rules, not troublemakers like you." Her words were like a slap, sharp and hurtful. The neighbors looked at Lisa, their eyes wide. Some of them started to whisper, thinking maybe Lisa was the problem. Maybe she was breaking rules. Maybe Karen was right. Lisa didn't yell back. She didn't even look mad. She just put down her watering can and said, "Thanks for letting me know, Karen." Then she gave a small smile and went inside her house. The neighbors were confused. Why was Lisa fighting back? Why was she so calm? They didn't know what to think. Some of them started giving Lisa funny looks when they saw her, like she was causing trouble. They didn't talk to her as much, afraid Karen would get mad at them too. But here's the thing, Lisa wasn't upset. She wasn't scared or sad. When she went inside, she wasn't hiding. She was thinking. She was watching Karen, noticing every word, every move. Karen thought Lisa was weak, just a new girl who didn't know anything, but Lisa was smart. She was like a detective, quietly collecting clues. She listened to Karen's mean words, watched her wave that clipboard, and remembered everything. Lisa wasn't helpless, even if Karen thought she was. She had a spark inside her, a quiet strength that nobody saw yet. While Karen was busy yelling and bossing people around, Lisa was paying attention. She noticed how Karen always came over at the same time, how she talked to the neighbors, how she acted like she was better than everyone. Lisa was learning, and she was waiting. For what? Nobody knew yet, but it was going to be big. Karen kept pushing. She sent Lisa letters in the mail, saying she'd broken HOA rules. The letters were full of big words, but they all meant the same thing: do what I say or you're in trouble. One letter said Lisa's flower pots had to go. Another said her mailbox needed to be silver, not blue. Karen even complained about the birdhouse Lisa hung in her tree, saying it was ugly. Every time Lisa got a letter, Karen would stand on the sidewalk, smirking, waiting for Lisa to give up. But Lisa didn't give up. She read every letter carefully. She kept them in a folder, neat and organized. She didn't throw them away or ignore them. She was building something, like a puzzle with lots of pieces. Karen didn't know it, but every mean thing she did was another piece for Lisa's puzzle. And when that puzzle was done, Karen was going to be in for a huge surprise. The neighbors started to talk more. "Lisa's going to get fined," one said. "Karen always wins," another whispered. They felt bad for Lisa, but they didn't help her. They were too scared of Karen's clipboard and her fines. Some even started to believe Karen's lies, thinking Lisa was a troublemaker. They saw her fairy light still up, her flower pot still out, and thought, why doesn't she just listen to Karen? They didn't know Lisa had a plan. They didn't see the strength in her calm smile. Lisa kept going about her day, watering her flowers, waving at kids riding bikes, and acting like everything was fine. But inside her house, she was busy. She wasn't just sitting around. She was reading the HOA rulebook, a big stack of papers with all the neighborhood rules. She read every page, underlining things with a pencil. She was looking for something that would help her. And she was watching Karen, always watching. Karen thought she was winning. She thought Lisa was too quiet, too nice to fight back. She told the neighbors, that new girl will learn her place soon. She laughed, thinking she had all the power, but Lisa wasn't just being nice. She was being smart. She was letting Karen make mistakes, and those mistakes were piling up. Every mean word, every threat, every letter was like a step closer to something big. The tension in Maple Grove was growing. You could feel it in the air, like the quiet before a big storm. Karen was loud and bossy, but Lisa was calm and steady. Neighbors were watching, waiting to see what would happen. Would Lisa give in? Would Karen keep winning? Or was something else going on, something nobody expected? Lisa's calm was like a secret weapon. It made Karen think she was weak, but it was the opposite. Lisa was strong, stronger than Karen could imagine. She wasn't going to let Karen ruin her new home. She wasn't going to let Karen bully her or anyone else. She was waiting for the right moment, and when that moment came, Karen was going to wish she'd never messed with Lisa. Weeks passed in Maple Grove, and Karen's bullying got worse. She wasn't just picking on Lisa's fairy lights or flower pots anymore. Oh no, she was acting like she could do anything she wanted. Karen thought she was the boss of everyone, and she was determined to make Lisa feel small. But Lisa wasn't giving up. She stayed calm and quiet, even when things got really bad. And she was doing little things, smart things that nobody noticed. Those things were hints that something big was coming. One morning, Lisa woke up to a loud banging noise outside. She rubbed her eyes, pulled on a sweater, and looked out her window. Her heart stopped. There were workers in her front yard, hammering big wooden posts into the ground. They were building a tall, ugly fence right around her porch. Her porch was her favorite place where she sipped lemonade and waved at neighbors. Now it looked like a cage. Karen stood nearby, arms crossed, smiling like she'd won a prize. "Your porch is ugly," she said loudly. "I'm fixing it for the neighborhood." Lisa's heart was pounding. She loved her porch. It was where she felt at home. She wanted to yell at Karen to tell her to stop, but instead she took a deep breath and stepped outside. She looked at the workers, then at Karen, and said, "That's an interesting choice, Karen." Her voice was calm, almost too calm. Karen smirked, thinking Lisa was scared. Then Lisa turned around and went back inside, closing the door softly. Neighbors watching from their yards whispered, "Why isn't she fighting back?" What Karen didn't know was that Lisa had a secret weapon. All around her house, Lisa had tiny security cameras. They were so small you could barely see them, hidden in the corners of her porch and by her front door. Those cameras recorded everything, every single thing Karen did. Every time Karen came over to complain, every mean word she said, every time she pointed at the workers and told them what to do, it was all caught on tape. Karen had no idea she was being watched. At night, when the neighborhood was quiet, Lisa sat at her kitchen table. She opened her laptop and played the camera videos. She saw Karen yelling about the porch. She heard Karen tell the workers, "Make that fence tall so she learns her lesson." Lisa's eyes were sharp as she watched. She wasn't mad or sad. She was focused. She saved every video in a special folder, labeling them with dates and times. Each one was like a piece of a puzzle, and Lisa was putting that puzzle together. Lisa didn't just watch videos. She also had a big stack of papers, the HOA rulebook. It was full of boring rules about what people could do in Maple Grove. Karen loved those rules because she used them to boss everyone around, but Lisa was reading them carefully. She sat with a pencil, underlining parts that seemed important. She wrote little notes in the margins, like "No changes without permission" and "HOA can't touch private property." She was looking for something that would help her stop Karen. Karen kept pushing. She sent Lisa more letters saying the fence was Lisa's fault. One letter said, "You have to pay for this fence or you'll get a big fine." Another said, "Your porch broke the rules, so we fixed it." Karen was lying, but she thought Lisa wouldn't know. She stood on the sidewalk watching Lisa's house, smiling like she was winning. She told neighbors, "That new girl is trouble. She'll learn to follow my rules soon." Neighbors started to believe Karen. They saw the fence and thought Lisa must have done something wrong. Some stopped waving at Lisa when she walked by. Kids who used to say hi ran away when they saw her. Lisa noticed, but she didn't let it bother her. She kept smiling, watering her flowers, and acting like everything was okay. But inside, she was busy. She was planning something, and Karen's mean tricks were only making her plans stronger. One day, Karen went too far. She came to Lisa's house with a group of workers and pointed at Lisa's garden. "Those flowers are too bright," she said. "Dig them up." Lisa was outside, holding a broom, when she heard. She walked over and said, "Karen, those are my flowers. I planted them myself." Karen laughed a mean, loud laugh. "You don't get it, do you? I decide what's allowed here." The workers looked uncomfortable, but they started pulling up Lisa's flowers. Lisa didn't yell, she didn't cry, she just watched, her face calm. Then she said, "Okay, Karen, do what you want." She went inside, and Karen thought she'd won again, but Lisa wasn't giving up. She went straight to her laptop and checked her camera. Sure enough, they recorded Karen telling the workers to ruin the garden. Lisa saved the video, adding it to her collection. She also wrote down what happened in a notebook, noting the time and date. She was keeping track of everything. Lisa's calm was like a superpower. Karen thought it meant Lisa was weak, but it was the opposite. Every time Karen did something mean, Lisa got stronger. She was building a case like a detective in a mystery story. She had videos, notes, and pages from the rule book. She wasn't just sitting there taking Karen's bullying, she was getting ready for something big. But nobody knew what it was, not even the neighbors. The tension in Maple Grove was growing. Neighbors were watching Lisa's house, wondering what would happen next. Some felt bad for her, seeing the fence and the ruined garden. "Poor Lisa," they whispered. "Karen's too powerful." But others started to notice something. Lisa wasn't acting scared. She wasn't packing her bags or taking down her fairy lights. She was still there, still calm, still smiling. It made them curious. Was Lisa really just a new girl, or was she hiding something? Karen didn't notice any of this. She was too busy feeling like the queen of Maple Grove. She walked around, telling everyone how she was fixing the neighborhood. She thought Lisa was giving up, that the fence and the letters and the ruined garden would make her obey. But Karen was wrong. Every mean thing she did was like a step closer to a trap, and Lisa was the one setting it. Lisa kept working in secret. At night, she reviewed more videos. She saw Karen talking to the workers, saying things like, "She'll move out soon." She heard Karen lie to a neighbor, saying, "Lisa's breaking all the rules." Lisa wrote it all down. She underlined more rules in the HOA book, circling one that said, "Nobody can change someone's property without a vote." She smiled to herself. Karen was making mistakes, and Lisa was catching them all. The neighborhood felt like it was holding its breath. Something was going to happen. Karen was pushing too hard, and Lisa was too calm. Neighbors started to wonder, what was Lisa doing? Why wasn't she fighting back? They didn't know she was fighting, but not with yelling or arguing. She was fighting with her brain, with her cameras, with her notes. And soon, everyone would see what she was really capable of. The big day finally came. It was time for the HOA meeting at the Maple Grove Community Center, a little building where neighbors gathered to talk about rules and plans. The room was packed with people, sitting on folding chairs, whispering to each other. Karen stood at the front like she always did, holding her clipboard and looking proud. She was ready to boss everyone around, telling them what they could and couldn't do. Most neighbors were used to it. Some rolled their eyes, but nobody dared to speak up. Karen thought she was untouchable. Then the door opened and Lisa walked in. Everyone turned to look. This wasn't the Lisa they knew. The quiet new neighbor who usually wore jeans and a ponytail looked different. She was dressed in a sharp blazer like someone important. Her face was calm, but her eyes were strong, like she knew exactly what she was doing. She carried a laptop in one hand and a thick folder in the other. Heads turned and whispers filled the room. Even Karen looked surprised, but she quickly hid it with a mean laugh. "What's this about?" she said, her voice loud and snotty. Lisa didn't say a word to Karen. She walked to the front of the room, set her laptop on a table, and plugged it into the big projector. The screen on the wall lit up and everyone leaned forward, curious. Lisa turned to the crowd and said, "I think it's time you all saw the truth about our HOA president." Her voice was clear and steady, not loud or angry, but strong enough to make everyone listen. Karen's smirk faded. She looked nervous, like she sensed something bad was coming. Lisa clicked a button on her laptop and a video started playing on the screen. It was from her security cameras, the tiny ones she had hidden around her house. The video showed Karen standing in Lisa's yard, talking to workers who were building the ugly fence around her porch. "This'll teach her," Karen said in the video, laughing like it was a big joke. "She'll learn to follow my rules." The room filled with gasps. Neighbors looked at each other, shocked. Karen's face turned red, then white. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. Lisa didn't stop there. She played another video. This one showed Karen talking to a neighbor, lying right to their face. "Lisa broke all the rules," Karen said in the clip. "That's why we had to fix her porch." More gasps came from the crowd. People started whispering, pointing at Karen. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. Karen had been lying to them, making them think Lisa was the problem, but the videos proved the truth. Lisa clicked again and more clips played. One showed Karen telling workers to dig up Lisa's flowers. Another showed her writing mean letters and leaving them in Lisa's mailbox. Every video was clear, with dates and times stamped on them. Lisa had caught everything. The neighbors were stunned. They'd always known Karen was bossy, but they didn't know she was this snaky, this mean. Then Lisa held up the HOA rulebook, a big stack of papers that listed all the neighborhood rules. She opened it to a page she'd marked and read out loud. "These rules say no one can touch someone else's property without permission," she said, her voice calm but powerful. "That means Karen broke the law when she put that fence around my porch. She broke the law when she ruined my garden, and I've got proof." She pointed to her folder, which was stuffed with papers, screenshots from her videos, copies of Karen's letters, and even a police report Lisa had filed. The room went wild. Neighbors started talking all at once, some shouting questions, others yelling at Karen. "How could you do that?" one person called out. "You lied to us," said another. Karen's face was as white as a ghost. She tried to talk, stammering, "This is a mistake, you don't understand." But nobody believed her anymore. The videos were too clear, the proof too strong. Karen looked around, but nobody was on her side. Lisa stood tall, her folder in her hands. She didn't smile or gloat. She just looked at the crowd and said, "I moved here for a fresh start. I wanted to be part of this neighborhood. But Karen tried to make me feel like I didn't belong. She thought she could bully me because I was new, but I'm not afraid of bullies, and I'm not going to let her hurt anyone else." The neighbors started clapping. Some cheered, others nodded. They were amazed. Lisa wasn't just the quiet new girl, they saw her strength now. She'd been smart, patient, and brave. She didn't yell or fight like Karen did. Instead, she used her brain, her cameras, and the truth to show everyone who Karen really was. It was like watching a superhero reveal their powers. Karen tried to argue again. "You can't do this," she shouted, waving her clipboard. "I'm the HOA president." But the crowd wasn't listening. One neighbor, an older man named Mr. Jenkins, stood up. "We've had enough of you, Karen," he said. "You've been bossing us around for years. It's time for a change." Others agreed, clapping louder. Karen looked like she wanted to disappear. Lisa opened her folder and handed papers to the HOA board, a group of neighbors who helped make decisions. "This is all the proof," she said. "Videos, letters, and the rules Karen broke. I've also talked to the police. Karen could be in big trouble for what she did." The board members looked at the papers, their eyes wide. They whispered to each other, nodding. They knew Lisa was right. The room felt electric, like something huge was happening. Neighbors who had been quiet for years were speaking up. "Karen fined me for my dog's barking," one said. "She told me my house was the wrong color," said another. They were tired of Karen's rules, tired of being scared, and Lisa's bravery gave them courage. They saw that Karen wasn't as powerful as she seemed, not when someone like Lisa stood up to her. Karen sank into a chair, her clipboard falling to the floor. She looked small now, not like the queen she thought she was. Lisa closed her laptop and looked at the crowd. "I don't want to fight," she said. "I just want our neighborhood to be fair. We should all feel safe in our homes." The neighbors cheered again, some even standing up. They weren't just cheering for Lisa, they were cheering for themselves, for a new start. This was the moment everything changed. Lisa's plan, all those nights of watching videos and reading rules, had worked. She'd shown everyone the truth, and Karen couldn't hide anymore. It was like a big curtain had been pulled back, and the whole neighborhood saw what was really going on. Lisa wasn't just a new girl, she was a hero, and Karen's bullying days were over. The community center was buzzing after Lisa's big reveal. Neighbors were talking all at once, some shouting questions, others sounding mad or surprised. They couldn't believe what they'd seen on Lisa's videos. Karen had lied to them, bullied Lisa, and broken the rules. The HOA board, a group of neighbors who helped make decisions, sat together looking at Lisa's folder. It was full of proof, videos, letters, and pages from the rulebook. They whispered to each other, flipping through the papers. In just a few minutes, they made a big decision. Karen was done. She wasn't the HOA president anymore. The crowd cheered, clapping and shouting. Karen's face was pale, and she looked smaller than ever. Lisa calmly handed her folder to the board, showing even more evidence. She proved Karen had used HOA money, which belonged to everyone, to pay for the ugly fence around Lisa's porch. That was a huge no-no. The neighbors were angry. "She stole our money," one yelled. Then the police showed up. 2 officers walked into the room, and everyone got quiet. They talked to the board, looked at Lisa's proof, and then walked over to Karen. "You need to come with us," one officer said. Karen was in trouble for vandalism because she damaged Lisa's property and harassment because she kept being mean. The officers led her out, and the crowd cheered again. Karen tried to argue, saying, "This isn't fair," but nobody listened. She'd lost all her power. As she left, her clipboard sat on the floor, forgotten. The neighbors felt free for the first time in years. They weren't scared of Karen anymore. Lisa had shown them the truth, and now things were going to change. Days after the meeting, Maple Grove felt like a new place. The ugly fence around Lisa's porch came down. Workers pulled out the posts, and Lisa's porch was open and pretty again. She put her fairy lights back up, and they twinkled at night. Her flower pots and garden were fixed, with bright flowers blooming. Neighbors walked by and smiled, waving at Lisa. Some stopped to talk. "We're so sorry," they said, embarrassed. "We believed Karen's lies. We didn't know." Lisa just smiled and said, "It's okay. Let's make things better now." They liked that. They saw Lisa wasn't mad, she was kind, but also strong. The neighbors started to see who Lisa really was. She wasn't just the new girl who stayed quiet. She was smart, brave, and fair. They talked about how she'd caught Karen with her cameras and used the rules to fight back. "She's amazing," one neighbor said. "She didn't yell or fight, she just showed the truth." Kids in the neighborhood started calling her Super Lisa, and it made her laugh. She didn't feel like a superhero, but she was happy to help. At the next HOA meeting, something big happened. The neighbors voted for a new HOA president. They all agreed Lisa was perfect for the job. "Will you do it?" they asked. Lisa thought for a moment, then nodded. "I'll do it," she said, "but only if we make the neighborhood fair for everyone." The crowd clapped and cheered. Lisa promised to listen to everyone's ideas and make rules that help, not hurt. No more bullying, no more mean letters. Maple Grove was going to be a happy place again. Lisa got to work right away. She met with neighbors, asked what they wanted, and wrote down their ideas. People started planting new gardens and painting their houses fun colors, and Lisa said, "That's great." The neighborhood felt alive, with kids playing and grown-ups chatting. Everyone was excited to be part of Maple Grove now. They weren't afraid anymore, thanks to Lisa. Karen was gone. Some said she moved away, too embarrassed to stay. Nobody missed her. The neighbors learned something important. Bullies like Karen only seem strong until someone brave stands up. Lisa showed them that she didn't need to be loud or mean to win. She used her smarts and her heart, and that was enough. Lisa's story is one we can all learn from. It shows us something super important. Sometimes the quiet people are the strongest. Karen thought she could push everyone around because she was loud and bossy. She thought Lisa was weak because she didn't yell or fight back. But Karen was so wrong. Lisa was like a secret superhero. She stayed calm, used her smarts, and showed the truth. Karen never saw it coming, and that's what made Lisa's win so awesome. Think about it. Karen judged Lisa too fast. She saw a new girl, someone quiet and polite, and thought, easy target. But people who judge others like that, they're the ones who miss the truth. They don't see the strength hiding inside someone. Lisa proved that you don't need to be loud or mean to be powerful. You can be kind, patient, and clever and still change everything. That's a big lesson for all of us. Don't underestimate people because you never know what they're capable of. Lisa's story also shows us about standing up for what's right. She didn't let Karen ruin her new home. She didn't let the mean words or the ugly fence stop her. She kept going even when neighbors believed Karen's lies. That takes guts. It's not easy to keep trying when things are hard, but Lisa did it. She showed us that being brave doesn't always mean fighting with fists or shouting. Sometimes being brave means using your brain, staying strong inside, and doing what's fair. What happened in Maple Grove wasn't just about Lisa winning. It was about the whole neighborhood getting better. After Karen was gone, people weren't scared anymore. They worked together, planted gardens, and made their street a happy place. Lisa helped them see that they could speak up and make changes. She showed them that one person, even a new person, can make a big difference. That's so cool. It reminds us that we all have power to make things better, no matter who we are. So what can we take from Lisa's story? First, don't let bullies push you down. They might seem strong, but they're not unbeatable. Second, be yourself, even if others don't see your strength right away. Lisa was quiet, but she was mighty. And third, always try to do what's right, even if it's hard. Lisa could have given up, but she didn't. She fought for her home and her neighbors, and now Maple Grove is a better place because of her. Hey, what did you think of this story? Did it make you cheer for Lisa? Would you have stood up to Karen the way she did, with smarts and patience? Or maybe you have your own story about dealing with a bully. Drop it in the comments. I love hearing from you, so tell me where you're watching from too. If this tale of justice got you excited, give it a big asterisk like asterisk and hit that subscribe asterisk button. That way you'll never miss another story that keeps you hooked. Lisa's story isn't just about one neighborhood, it's about all of us. It's about believing in yourself, standing tall, and not letting anyone make you feel small. So next time you face someone like Karen, remember Lisa, be smart, be strong, and keep going. You might just surprise everyone just like she did. Thanks for watching, you awesome people. Stay brave, stay kind, and I'll see you in the next story.